Dr. Albert Zen is an assistant professor in the Mechanical Engineering Department at the Cooper Institute of Technology, CIT, working with Professor Nick Blunt, who directs the department's Composites and Laminates lab. Albert is new, having just been hired last semester. Albert is very meticulous about ethics and always makes an effort to know his institution's policies and procedures manual in detail. In fact, he left his previous position after many unhappy months of being a whistleblower at the center of a plagiarism case. He had repeatedly tried to bring to the attention of his immediate supervisors a colleague's inappropriate use of other people's work, including his own. The colleague was using very close paraphrasing of text taken from other publications and manuscripts written by Albert's team. Albert was astonished when, instead of taking action to correct the problem, his department head and colleagues responded with hostility towards him. After several months of painful conflict, he resigned and applied for a new job. He began this past semester at CIT with great optimism, excited to be collaborating with a new set of colleagues in a very collegial and supportive environment. He was relieved to have been invited to join a generously funded project in the Composites lab. Several projects are in the manuscript writing stage, and Albert has already earned authorship on some of them. One of Albert's new colleagues, Dr. George Finley, recently had a first author manuscript accepted to a top-tier journal in the field. One day, Albert is collecting a print job from the networked printer that everyone in the lab uses. When he picks up his own print job, he accidentally also takes a copy of George's manuscript, which had been left behind in the output tray. The title looks relevant to what they're working on, so Albert excitedly starts to read it.
Hey, this looks really interesting. It's very similar to what we're working on. This is great. We need to cite this in our paper. Wait, this is our paper. This method section is exactly the same as our paper. He's copied our manuscript.
Albert is disturbed and angered to see that large portions of the method section are identical, word for word, to a draft paper that his team is co-authoring. George was in a rush, since there was a deadline for a special edition. He felt that getting this manuscript accepted for publication was critical, and he knew if his paper was accepted, it would be in press long before his colleague's paper would. In his mind, he was merely taking a well-written segment of writing, methods section, that had not yet been published and may never, so it was fine to claim the work as his own. Furthermore, George's paper is likely to be helpful for the team to secure a new grant that will help fund the whole team's research program. Albert confronts George.
George, what were you thinking? That's our work. You don't just take the work of others and pass it off as your own. It's not right. It's fundamentally dishonest and, frankly, irresponsible, since you knew it could jeopardize all of our work here.
I think you've blown this out of proportion. Do you have any idea how important this is for me? I'm up for review this fall, and this paper is crucial. Your manuscript is months away from being ready, and there's plenty of time to rewrite that method section. It's only a few pages. What you don't understand is that my paper will be needed to help us get a grant that you will benefit from. You need to get some perspective here. All I was doing was expediting the process.
Dr. Blunt, Nick, the lab director, gets involved at this point. His goal is to balance the needs of the lab team, their community, with basic principles of right and wrong. Struggling, he tries to reassure Albert that his team's work will not go unacknowledged. George, he realizes, has been a valuable and productive colleague. And although the copied work is unacceptable, he desperately wants to find a solution that treats everyone fairly. Further, Nick is a co-author on George's paper, and as George pointed out, the paper is important for their grant proposal.
We need to make this work for everyone. I agree that George's paper is already set to go to press. It's been accepted, and it's going to negatively impact the whole team if it's retracted now. Albert, it's only a few pages of the methods section. Can you just let it go? Why can't you simply rewrite the methods section? That's fair, isn't it?
Albert is furious with this suggestion and feels that it's a matter of principle. After struggling with the issue for several days, he decides to take the case to the provost in a formal grievance and informs him that he has contacted the journal editor. Once the provost reviews the whole situation, he in turn becomes deeply troubled by the situation.
This is completely unacceptable. The university has to function as an exemplar of excellence in both scholarship and ethics. Our national reputation is based on traditions of honesty and integrity. How is this going to look? We're going to end up in that publication, Retraction Observation.